got ourselves Dharma over on the team 1. Alright to go. Got that. I like that mog a lot. Looks good. We got ourselves Faye Orkin. We got ourselves Tags. You're gonna be first up. I like that set, by the way. We got ourselves Sensetsu in the oh, I'm gonna get your name wrong. Hold on, let me try it again. Senretsu in the back, as well as I switched the wrong person. Sulfur over in the back as well. We got ourselves team 2 together with Fenny. We got ourselves Huge Buttman. We got ourselves Lyra. We got ourselves Beggar. And its first up is gonna be Nay, the Paladin, versus Tagsy, as he's just gonna sit and sit out behind the pillar, behind the ramp, behind the stairs. It's gonna be a soul shape. Quick stun. Tagsy with the human racial, immediately more to call, sending Nay running as far as possible as they can. And they with the wings ready to go, ready to blast out some damage. Tagsy knows to avoid this damage as best possible. Could go for the gateway in case the one or two. Looks like they're just gonna run away from Nay, as they're not seeing the Paladin mount up and try to use mobility to their advantage. Tagsy trying to see if they can mount up at the last second. Nay does not really push the aggression with that judgment. And now it looks like Nay's just running around from Tagsy as the wings are gone. Quick drain onto Nay. As the dots are ramping up, could be lots of pressure. Nay, with the shield of Vengeance, needs to make sure that shield pops next to fake Tagsy in order to get some offensive value on it. It looks like the shield does save him for a second. Big damage out of Tagsy without even popping cooldowns. And Nay might be in big trouble here unless they catch up on health. If they're just rushing at Tagsy with no help whatsoever, put themselves out in the open, could be pretty big trouble. Picking up the eye by accident, gonna make him take 5% more damage from all Tagsy's abilities. Not a best situation to be in, but better than nothing. Gonna be Tagsy with a drain alive versus Nay. Trying to keep the pressure rolling. Nay with a quick fury, at least trying to set one up. There's gonna be no more rebuke by the Pala. Drinking out of Nay. Does not have the bubble, so it's gonna be just a matter of time until the dots rot you. And the Pala trying to do the best they can. Trying to see if they can survive the damage, survive the rot, survive the dots. But looks like with the drain, Tagsy is gonna end up taking them down. With Beggar loaded up, ready to go. Trying to give Tagsy a bit of an honor duel. Let him know, hey, you're fighting me. So Tagsy is going to opportunity to at least swap out to an Incubus or a Succubus, whichever one they got going there. Looks like it's the Incubus, keeping him a good distance away in case Beggar is right next to the pet so he cannot get interrupted. You ways to get it loaded. Beggar going in for a bit of damage as much as they can, but it's going to be quick fear and loaded up even more dots. Tagsy's not even committing full burn damage here. Just letting those dots get ramped up and lower and just raw Beggar over time. Trying to go for malaria for grab. I think that might have done enough damage with the rots. Are going to take it down. Cheat death for a quick second. Does get himself whatever small survivability possible. Quick blind onto that Incubus. But the dots do tip him right over. And Lyra gonna be up next. The dot damage and Tagsy. That's something you should remember here. Did not pop any cooldowns there. That was just raw damage of Affliction Warlock. Just let those dots over time take down Beggar as well as Nay the Paladin. Just letting those rots do work. Lyra gonna try to see if they might be able to counteract these dots and these swats. If they are playing a proper Feign Death Legendary, they might actually be okay. Try to see if they can siphon a lot of that shield with that new Malediction trick versus Tagsy. Wasn't quite able to do it. I think they are playing a proper Craven Stratagem this time though. It's going to be Yue get it loaded up. If Tagsy can just get line of sight and get a couple of Agonies, a couple of Corruptions onto Lyra, and then maybe go for a full Rapid Contagion, those dots will do a lot of work. Lyra trying to see if they can avoid the drain. Does go for a bit of Exhilaration. Has no Warlock Hellstone actually on their team. I was thinking maybe they would. Medic bandages that do recover with a quick Feign Death. Does at least give himself a reset. That Incubus frozen. Can't quite pressure Lyra. It's going to be cooldowns coming out for Lyra with a Flayed Shot. Tagsy porting away as soon as possible. I think that might have been a human racial to break out of that stun. Try to stay ahead of Lyra as best as possible, letting the dots rod the pet and rod the hunter. There's going to be Feign Death by Lyra. Could be in a bad spot. Tagsy needs to make sure to get all the dots loaded up. This way you want to go for Yue and let those dots just do all the work in the world. Drain life onto Lyra with Immortal Coil. Yue's going to set up Shadow Fury right after. Malefic Crouch to follow. Maybe could do enough damage. There's going to be a wall out of Lyra. Will survive the fittest. Got himself a big defensive quick Feign Death to remove all those dots really quickly. But Drain Lives can still be applied on the pet. Lyra under pressure with that Incubus. Not going to be given a proper opportunity to get himself a proper reset. That Drain is going to attach before the Turtle Shot comes out. Lyra under a ton of pressure. Unless they go for a proper Feign Death, maybe with a camo. I don't know if they really end up getting recovery here. Needs to be as clean as possible. Freeze on the pet. Gives them opportunity. Gives them a breather. Feign Death for a second. Do they get a camo? No camo. They're just going to have to go for a dot versus Tagsy. Is their pet dead? I think Tagsy might have drained that pet earlier. If Lyra realizes this, they should have definitely went for a camo. I don't think he realized that. I think there's a corpse of the pet right back there. Yep, Leroy at no health whatsoever. Drain, life to fall. I think it's over. Taxi, again, this man hasn't popped cooldowns at all. He's just rotting these boys out without having to use CDs at all. Is there going to be one day Taxi popping off the full dark lane and everything? At some point or another, yeah, I imagine. But this man so far hasn't had to do it. Is going to end up picking up the eyes by accident. Going to be the human Rachel to break out of the stun, boarding away from Fenny as they're dropping down the grenade trinket on the ground, just letting it roll off their hand. Like an oopsie, I slipped. Taxi keeping himself as much juice as he can for Fenny. Curse of Josh is slowing him down, does recover a lot of health with a drain. Fenny, feared out in the open. Quick trick in order to break out of the fear, just to keep the pressure rolling versus Taxi. Got himself the wings rolling, and that's going to be potential lots of damage. Taxi trying to see if they can maybe go for a big solo versus Fenny. Does go for a full pet setup. Fenny's going to take a bit of damage. Taxi does not commit all the cooldowns, just the dark layer. Mortal into Fenny. Bubble getting forced out. Taxi has support, trying to stay away from Fenny. Needs to keep himself alive as best as possible. Does have a dark back. Definitely needs to get himself a drain onto Fenny as soon as possible. The earlier the better. Fenny does give himself a full reset. No more dots. Perfect opportunity to recover. Looks like they're going to take advantage of this with a couple flash of lights. Tags needs to make sure that they have line of sight of Fenny. Needs to make sure to use that range between them and the Paladin as best as they can. Drain does let Tagsy recover a little bit of health. Slow down onto Fenny immediately. Hand of freedom to keep him rolling. Tagsy breaking out of the stun. I don't even know how you keep breaking out of the stuns. There's no way you have the human ritual back up that early. Unless you got an imp. But you're playing imp or something? Is there an imp somewhere I haven't seen? There's got to be breaking out somehow. Going to be a fear onto Fenny with the full dots, but it's going to be rampant contagion, potentially full dots possible. Not full damage yet, but the dots are in. The dots have set in. Taxi has actually got himself a lot of recovery, a ton of it in fact. Fenny just continues to try to see if they can put pressure on Taxi. Big drain, and Fenny might still be in trouble. Stun, it's going to be done. Taxi does pop some cooldowns at the very end, just to make sure you can get this cast off very, very quickly. So far, I've been rotting this team out. This Affliction Warlock is absolutely unstoppable, with Huge going to be up next as Taxi has a lot of damage rolling in. Wants to make sure to get those dots up and running onto Huge. Definitely also should get those dots up on that pet as well. That pet is just an extra target, an extra body for you to get corrupt agonies on. And maybe even on the Kevin slime, because Kevin does give you an extra target. That's just going to give you more opportunities for drains. And an extra target if you go for the full Night Fade drain setup. Because you can drain health from multiple targets, which gives you more healing. Taxi is going to keep the pressure in the dots on the pet. Huge, taking a bit of the dot damage as well. Needs to be decursing the agony as soon as possible. He has the opportunity to remove at least a portion of the damage, as well as the procs for the survivability that the Warlock is going to utilize here. Quick fear into Huge. Soul Rod getting set up. Taxi full dots. Is he just going to rampage him? Going to go for the dark layer, so the dots are going to ramp up. That's going to be Huge. Potentially loading himself up some damage. Taxi finds himself kind of low. That could be Sky Fury. Big Lasso in order to interrupt the drain life. Taxi could be in big, big trouble. Wall might not be enough to keep him alive. Drain life is going to use versus Huge, dropping down the explosive trinket, and it's going to be Huge. Getting hit with the Mortical. Taxi recovered all that health at 29% dampening. Shaman finds himself finally some respite behind the cat statue on top of that ramp. It's going to send out a lava burst at Taxi, swinging around the corner. Earth Elemental joining in as Huge finds himself pretty low on health. Definitely is going to have to utilize that wall whenever Taxi got any big burst damage. Banish onto that pet. If your pet cannot protect you while banish, then Huge definitely needs to wait out for that banishment for later. Giving Tags a less opportunity to be able to catch that banish and locking out that wall. But I could be wrong on that one. Maybe you can still use the defensive while the pet is banished. Who knows? Big Earth Shock. Taxi trying to ramp up those damage. Rapid contagious up. Dark Back keeping him alive barely. They got Flame Shock at the Earth Elemental beating up on it. Flash Cup for Huge. Taxi trying to see if he can interrupt it. Does land it with a wall up for Huge. Does himself a big defensive fear by Taxi. Trying to go for full Soul Rod. Shadow Fear onto Huge. That's going to be a Taxi actually going for a massive drain on all these pets as well as Huge. With a light and lasso run after Taxi caught up a lot of health and a pretty big healing over time after the massive drain. Huge just rotted. And Taxi taking these boys out of here. My goodness, Affliction Warlocks can be pretty disgusting when it comes to 5v5 1v1 duels. You know, 1v1, just the dots, man, the pressure. Jesus, for a while, Taxi just held on to their offensives. They were just like, oh, I get rots, and you're good to go. I'm just gonna let you be there, let you whittle away bit by bit. Crazy. I love it. You know what? That's what I miss. I remember at the beginning of Shadowlands, Affliction Warlocks kind of walked away from the dot heavy playstyle. Instead, it was like more like crouch spam and maybe even drain burst. But I kind of love how that has to be part of that has to be a staple of Warlock gameplay going forward. I always enjoy that about Affliction, the dot, the rot, you know what I mean? It's so good.